Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a new potential meta contender in the Open Master League, and that is level 50 Cetitan with Powder Snow. Now previously, Cetitan had access to Ice Shard, which is just a way worse fast move, but with Powder Snow, the simulations say this is a massive improvement, now going 25-13 in the 1 shield versus the Master League meta, and 26-12 in the 2 shield. So today's question will be, we're going to be testing it out and seeing does it live up to the hype in the Open Master League despite being only 3500 CP. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. Picking up a great lead in the first match, Zacian versus Zygarde. Solgaleo save switch, I'm going to stay in with the Zacian, go for the Wild Charge, and then I can send in Palkia. Wild Charge gets some very valuable damage, and Palkia will be able to absorb energy from the Solgaleo. The Solgaleo is forced to go for its weaker move of Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs, of course, will come with a guaranteed defense drop, and that means the more of these they throw, the more damage my Palkia is going to take. I really don't want to take a third Psychic Fang, so I am going to overfarm as much as I can and go for the Aqua Tail right before they're able to get to the move. Aqua Tail into Solgaleo, picks up the KO. In the back, opponent has Duskmane Necrozma, which looks incredibly cool. So they're running a bit of an ABB style strategy. Aqua Tail does get shielded. I make it to Aqua Tail number 2. Let's see this damage. I haven't seen the Duskmane in action. It does take some decent damage, and I'm going to send in the Zacian. I really do not want to get hit with a Sun Steel Strike, so I will commit the shield just to get baited with a Dark Pulse. That is quite unfortunate. But the nice thing for me is that since I've switched advantage, I can put the Zacian on the Duskmane, and I have Cetitan in the back to absolutely feast on that Zygarde. I just have to watch for a switch. In comes Zygarde. I can bank the move for later, and in comes Cetitan. Cetitan, significantly better energy generation thanks to the new move of Powder Snow. Avalanche will connect, and that does monster damage to the Master League's bulkiest Pokemon in Zygarde. Zygarde will go for the crunch. They do not get the debuff, but they survive on 1 HP, and they make it to another crunch. Now the question will be, can Duskmane farm down? If Duskmane can farm down, then they should win charge attack priority over Zacian. Avalanche gets them low. Cetitan barely hangs on and makes it to the Body Slam. Body Slam knocks out Duskmane Necrozma, and we're able to take the win. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, leading Zacian versus Hisuian Avalugg. This matchup is a bit uncomfortable just because I'm not running close combat. Overall, I definitely prefer the Wild Charge Play Rough moveset, but it is in a situation like this where it can be a bit unfortunate. But the good news is my opponent doesn't know that I don't have close combat. They try for a catch onto Lugia. I'm going to throw Wild Charge, bank a ton of energy, and now I can send in Cetitan. And Cetitan is going to do great here. This is one of the nice things about Cetitan is the Master League meta as a whole is going to be very soft to ice types typically, as even Pokemon like Palkia and Dialga are still taking neutral damage. So even though Cetitan doesn't have the greatest stat product ever, the fact that it has very good ice moves in Powder Snow and Avalanche, which is a combination that we've seen previously on Pokemon like Frostlass, can be quite good. In comes Dialga. Dialga looking for a farm down, and we're going to see the Avalanche reached. It connects, and now we switch back into the Zacian. So Avalanche will do some chip damage, but it's not going to do a massive amount of damage to something like Dialga. Dialga is going to be firing off the Iron Head. I have a choice to make here. I decide at the last second to commit the shield, to switch into the Avalugg, and I should have thrown my move before they threw the Icy Wind. I had lost track of their energy. I thought I could overfarm more, but as it turns out, I definitely could not. So I will go for the Play Rough. Play Rough, not going to do a whole lot after being debuffed. I make it to the Wild Charge, but I wanted to commit to a Play Rough because I really didn't want them to potentially farm me down. And now I can send in the Palkia. And for Palkia, if I can just exit with a move, I'm in a good spot. I try for the catch. I fail the catch onto Cetitan. Opponent holds onto their energy, but they realize they can't farm down. They're forced to throw. Palkia almost gets the farm down. They switch out into Dialga, but Dialga is just going to get knocked out with the Spatial Rend. Spatial Rend picks up the KO. They have a move on the Avalugg, but no move they learn can threaten a Palkia from this health range. So Palkia survives the Rock Slide, gets the farm down, and takes the win. Great lead in the next match, Zacian versus Palkia. Landorus save switch, and I immediately make a massive mistake. They sent in Landorus. I could have brought in Cetitan and absolutely crushed that thing. But off habit, I see Landorus save switch, I go into Palkia, and now this is a pretty big problem. Landorus save switches are almost always intended to bait out Palkia, with the goal being that the Ho-Oh or Solgaleo in the back is able to sweep. And now, whether it's Ho-Oh or Solgaleo, I'm going to be in trouble here. I do actually let them get me slightly lower, because even if I don't take that damage, I'm not going to be able to make a Spatial Rend anyway, so this way I just give them less farm. And here, realistically, what I should have done is just bring in Cetitan and just hope that energy on my Zacian can do well versus what they have in the back. They end up going for the Aqua Tail. I fire off the Play Rough. Play Rough is going to be shielded up, and based on the fact that they're shielding, that does make you think that it's probably the Ho-Oh variant rather than the Solgaleo variant. I will shield up the Aqua Tail, have to watch for a potential switch and a catch. There's the switch into the Ho-Oh. I do get the timing pretty decent, but I do end up going over 100, which is never ideal. The Wild Charge does get shielded. I'm going to get another Wild Charge. With debuffing my defense here, this should probably KO. And now it's all up to Cetitan. Cetitan going to have to put the team on his back here. Ho-Oh goes for the Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire does not get the debuff. I'm going to farm up and then fire off the Body Slam. This should hopefully allow me to outpace the Palkia. This is going to be a very close endgame here. Avalanche will be very close to knocking out, but they're also pretty close to a Spatial Rend. Avalanche gets them low. Palkia gets a move on 1 HP. Did they get there? Is it the Spatial Rend? Yes, it is. Down goes Cetitan, and unfortunately, we do lose the game. We've got a chance for redemption in the next match as I get the same lead as last game. Opponent is going to save switch into their own Zacian, and here's where I realized that for these battles I actually forgot to equip the best buddy boost on my Zacian. Both the Zacian and the Palkia, I do have best buddied, so I have the ability to increase their level to 51, and there can be various benefits to doing so. Oftentimes, if I'm running another Pokemon on my team that is going to be weak to Fairy, then I really like to best buddy the Zacian, so that way I can always guarantee the mirror. In this instance, however, I do have an energy advantage, because my opponent farmed up a little bit of energy on the Palkia before they switched. They're now going to fire off the Wild Charge, that's fine by me, and I'm going to send in Cetitan. Cetitan, I'm okay with shielding once and just farming down here, so I will commit the shield. They go for the Wild Charge, they're going to switch into the Palkia, and now this does get a little bit uncomfortable. I know that Avalanche is going to do some solid damage here. Avalanche will hit for neutral. I'm going to send in my own Palkia, and I'm just going to have to go for a one-shield farm down because, unfortunately, they will make the Spatial Rend. That's part of what makes Spatial Rend so deadly, is it is very inexpensive to get to. So I will get the farm down, which is very nice. The Zacian is very low, so they can't really send in the Zacian. They're forced to send in their final Pokemon, which is Landorus, and Palkia looks to be in the driver's seat of this match. Grabbing a shield from the opponent, they're going to fire off their energy here. It is going to be the Sandsear Storm that will not KO. I make it to another Aqua Tail. This is debuffed, but it is going to do some pretty okay damage. Is the clock up? It's not up quite yet. Send in Cetitan and get the snipe. They're unable to make the Stone Edge. Zacian will get knocked out with a Body Slam. So things got a little bit worrying in the endgame there, but Cetitan able to take the win. Decent lead in the next match, Zacian versus Ho-Oh. This is not the best alignment ever for me. Obviously, I'd much prefer to have this on the Palkia, but it's not terrible, because at the very least, Ho-Oh is not on Cetitan. They shielded the Wild Charge, so they should be going for the Sacred Fire here, fishing for a potential attack drop. So I will commit the shield. They actually go for a Brave Bird and a switch out into Dialga, and this is where things get complicated, as Dialga is not an amazing Pokemon for my backline to see, and they still have the Ho-Oh available as well. I'm going to send in Palkia, just go for a one-shield farm down. This is the OG Dialga, which means no Roar of Time availability, so they're forced to go for a Draco, which means I'm going to take less damage from those last few Dragon Breaths that they do. In the back, they have Xerneas, and things could get very interesting. I do have energy on the Palkia, which is quite nice, so I fire off the Aqua Tail. I'm able to make it to another Aqua Tail as well, before my opponent is going to be able to fire off a close combat. I am in a range where close combat would KO. Opponent overfarms to the max, and that lets me get another Aqua Tail. Palkia putting in a tremendous amount of work here. They're finally going to fire off a move, and that's very, very okay with me. It is going to be the close combat. Cetitan, I know that I can live a close combat. I farm up quite a bit of energy. They're firing off a move. Let's see the close combat damage. Let's check out the bulk of Cetitan. Cetitan tanks that decently. In comes the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is going to fire off energy. This will be very, very close. The Xerneas has basically been KO'd, so what I need from Cetitan is I just need Cetitan to be able to make it to 2 moves. Avalanche is going to connect. Cetitan, oh, that Incinerate KOs. I thought I'd live it on 1 HP, but unfortunately we just do not survive. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Zacian versus Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu does win the Zero Shield here versus Zacian, which is a little bit uncomfortable, but even if I do lose the Zeros, that will allow me to get some farm on Cetitan, and as we've established, ice damage as a whole is pretty valuable in the Master League, because ice damage just hits neutral into so many things. They will go for the Nature's Madness. I'm going to send in Cetitan, and Cetitan will get a nice little 4 Powder Snow head start. Opponent has Avalugg. That's a pretty big problem. I pivot into the Palkia, and they send in Landorus. So this is a very interesting endgame where their Landorus doesn't really have a lot of value, but their Avalugg is very, very valuable. I will fire off this Aqua Tail. Opponent is going to let that through. This will be very close. They get KO'd as they make the move, and with that, this actually looks like an endgame where I might be able to win. However, the unfortunate thing is the energy on Cetitan is basically useless going up against Hisui and Avalugg. And this is one issue with Cetitan, is Cetitan's moveset as a whole is incredibly good. I try for a catch there, unfortunately I'm unsuccessful, and here I just start firing off charge attacks. Technically, Avalanche is incrementally better, but both are not going to do a whole lot of anything. But Ice is really good across the meta, like it hits neutrally into so many things, but if you go up against another Ice type, like in this case the Ice Rock type Hisui and Avalugg, your energy goes nowhere, which is a very big problem. My opponent will continue to farm. They're firing off more energy, and I have a choice to make. Do I want to protect Cetitan? I do, and I shield an Icy Wind. Oh, that feels terrible. Oh my goodness. Avalanche gonna do less than nothing. The switch to Palkia, and I'm guaranteeing the final shield with the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to force their shield. They're forced to fire off energy, but now Cetitan has managed to get them very low. So the Rock Slide will pick up the KO. In comes Cetitan, getting the Powder Snow down, and we're able to escape out of a terrible matchup. Decent lead, Zacian versus Kyogre. Opponent is going to save switch into Dialga, and honestly, this is amazing for me, as now I can just reposition here. I have a big energy lead, so I can just stay in and win switch with the Zacian, put Palkia on Kyogre, and then I'm going to have Cetitan for whatever their final Pokemon is in the back. So I will commit the shield, and now I can massively overfarm as the Zacian. Going for the play rough, I do want to exit with a lot of residual energy in case they send in Kyogre, because best case scenario, if they send in Kyogre, they shield the Wild Charge, and then I get the shield back. And we know Kyogre's energy is going to be pretty useless going up against the Palkia. So I will go for the Wild Charge. Wild Charge is going to be shielded. Zacian looks like I could have made another Wild Charge, so my opponent is going to fire off energy to prevent that from happening. But now I can send in Palkia to Kyogre in the back. It's Tapu Bulu. Oh no. Tapu Bulu, one of my favorite Master League mons, but here it's about to get absolutely cooked by the Ice Whale Cetitan. Cetitan farming up, firing off the Avalanche. Avalanche should be able to pick up the one-hit KO here. Avalanche to Tapu Bulu, picks up the KO. In comes Kyogre, and now I'm going to start spamming out these Body Slams. Body Slam is going to connect. Looks like I'm only getting one move, so I will go for the Avalanche, as it does incrementally more damage, even though it is less efficient. So I will go for the Avalanche, and now I can just send in the Palkia. It doesn't matter what they throw here, even a Blizzard doesn't KO, so I can no shield. They go for an undercharged Origin Pulse, clearly dissatisfied with the alignment in the game, and I'm able to take the win. Tough lead in the next match, Zacian versus Hisui and Avalugg, and this one is shiny. The shiny on the Hisui and Avalugg is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my goodness. They'll go for the Icy Wind, and another situation where it would definitely be nice to potentially have access to close combat here, but unfortunately, I'm not running it. So I will fire off the Play Rough. Opponent is going to no shield there. A bit unfortunate, but I'm just planning on playing out the Zeros. Playing out the Zeros, farm down with Palkia. I'm now going to be double debuffed. I'm going to farm up and then go for the Play Rough. Maybe there's an off chance my opponent thinks I still have close combat for some reason, and it turns out they actually do. They commit the shield, thinking that maybe I was baiting with the more expensive move just to lull them into a false sense of security, so I actually do end up getting the shield, which is very nice. Opponent is going to try for a catch onto their own Palkia. I hold on to the energy, and now I can fire off the Spatial Rend. Spatial Rend will be shielded. My Palkia has taken a lot of damage here. I'm going to farm up energy, send in Cetitan, and I have a choice to make. Do I call the bait here? I let it go. It's the Aqua Tail. That's a massive, massive bait call for Cetitan. Let's go. I will commit the shield. They're going for another Aqua Tail. Can I get the farm down? Yes, I can. Cetitan has quite a bit of energy, but it's Solgaleo in the back. Oh no, Solgaleo in the back. Avalanche not going to do a whole lot here. I'm firing off the Body Slam, thinking maybe if I can get 2 Body Slams, but realistically, I'm far too low. And unfortunately, yeah, there's just not a point in throwing this. The Solgaleo in the back. Very unfortunate, as we are going to end up losing that game. And now that we have gotten to try out level 50 Powder Snow Cetitan, I'm going to provide my thoughts on it. First off, taking a look at Master League Cetitan with Powder Snow, I mean, it's a definite upgrade. I ran it last season with Ice Shard and now with Powder Snow. Having the better energy generation is a night and day difference. It allows it to be a lot more of a competitive Pokemon because pacing is absolutely everything. If you're too slow to get to charge moves, you're going to end up losing a lot of games. So increased pacing is definitely better. Continuing along with the good things about Cetitan, the typing, its best moves being Ice is very good. Across the meta, as we mentioned, there's a lot of stuff that takes neutral damage from Ice. It's one of the reasons why we have seen a lot of Ice types seen quite a lot of success, even if they don't have the greatest of stat products, like we've seen people do well in the past with Mamoswine in the Master League, now more so stuff like Hisui and Avalugg. So we have seen Ice types have some very nice success. The unfortunate thing in this regard is it can do very nicely into a lot of meta picks, but in those situations where Ice is resisted, it's going to struggle tremendously due to a lack of coverage. Body Slam is an amazing bait move, and in those situations where you can't hit for neutral with Ice, this thing can excel. Like, there's a reason why in Sims it's 25 and 13 in the 1s and 26 and 12 in the 2s versus the Master League meta. So this is not including bad mons. Like, this is just the Master League meta on PvP Poke. However, in those matchups where your Ice can't at least hit for neutral, those losses are some very severe losses. Like if you get stuck against something, even like a Kyogre that isn't even hitting you for super effective damage, or if you get stuck against one of those other Ice types like Hisui and Avalugg that just happens to have coverage for you, you're going to be in a very difficult position. So all in all, I think it is massively improved. Like you can feel a very big improvement overall. One aspect where it's going to struggle is there's some other very good Ice types, and I think they kind of do what Cetitan does a little bit better. So if you want to use Cetitan, you can. If you pair it with strong Pokemon, you'll probably do pretty well. The main issue I find is that you're just going to find other Ice types that I think occupy the niche that Cetitan is trying to occupy just a little bit better. Although I did go quite positive with the team in the practice battles that were done. However, granted, you could also just say that that's just because it was paired with a very strong core. My counter argument to that is that this is the Open Master League. And in the Open Master League, you could maybe run one fun pick, but any more than that, and you're going to end up losing quite a few games, at least at competitive elo. Granted, if you tank your elo down, then you can kind of run whatever you want, but at like a competitive elo, pushing leaderboards and whatnot, it's pretty standard fare to see at least two strong staple meta picks, so that's why I wanted to run it with that, to kind of see what would it look like if I tried to build a competitive team with Cetitan, and I felt like it honestly put in some pretty nice work. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.